Good evening and welcome to our Facebook Live this evening. My name's Jenny McCormack and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and I'm based in the market town of Brackley, which is in the UK. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching us live, do say hi. You can add the hashtag live if you wish, and just let me know that you're here and watching. If you're watching on replay or catch up, then if you have any queries or comments, don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section, and if it's a question that needs an answer, then I will check that on a regular basis and get back to you with any answers. Finally, it's popped up on my phone that I'm actually live. It always takes a little bit of time, but there we go. So I hope everybody has had a good day. We are continuing to use the Happy Holiday stamp set, which just appears to have gone AWOL at the moment, but it features this lovely robin that I've used earlier this week, and also this lovely holly and holly berries, which I've used. I used these yesterday to stamp the background and the front panel. The sentiments come from the same set as well. And then this one here is two versions of the robin. Hi Carol. This was one with watercolouring. This was one with the blends pen. And this evening I'm going to have a go at some no-line watercolouring. So it's quite experimental. It's not my strongest method of colouring in, but like anything, you've got to give these things a go. Hi Jeanette. And if you don't give them a go, then you'll never, know whether you can do it or whether you enjoy it. So I'm going to give this a go. So the only difference between this and watercolouring is that instead of having a defined line here where I've inked this up in black, hi Brenda, we're actually going to stamp in Sahara Sand, or you can use any light colours. You could use crumb cake, for example, or smoky slate, depending on what image you are colouring in. And then we're just going to be using a water painter and some ink, exactly as we did on Monday, to fill this in, but it won't have this definition. So the idea is it looks like you actually painted it from scratch. We will see is the answer. I haven't given this a practice. I've been too busy prepping the classes, so we'll just see how we get on, and if it's an unmitigated disaster, so be it. We will see. Hi Tracy, lovely to have you join us. So I am going to keep this image here so that I've got a picture of the robin definition, because when I stamp it in Sahara Sand there won't be very much definition showing. So I've got two pieces of our Fluid 100 watercolour card, and all I've done is taken the piece as is and cut it in half. I'll worry about how I'm going to put it onto my card later on. And I'm going to use the robin, and I'm going to use Sahara Sand to stamp in. So basically it's a bit like colour by numbers in that it gives you just an outline of what you're colouring in, and then it's up to you then to go back in and colour. So let's just open this up and see how we get on. So this was my panel that I used earlier in the week, and for the robin, the red breast of the robin, I used a bit of real red, pumpkin pie and soft suede. And this is exactly as I left it on Monday or Tuesday, plus a few cat hairs I see. Obviously, and looks like remarkably like a cat paw print here and here. So I might need to wipe that off and start again, but just to show you can leave it there as long as you don't have a cat walking over your surface. So I'm just going to stamp this bird on my little scrap of paper here. I just want to see really whether I need to stamp off or not. No, I think that'll be all right. If I have it too pale, I won't be able to see what I'm doing. Simple as that. So let's have, just trying to get the right angle really, looking at the feet and the way the feet come down. Okay, so because it's watercolour paper, just give it a little bit of time to transfer onto the paper itself. And so you can just see, hopefully, the outline of the bird there. And on my blocks then I'm going to put, I've got some soft suede for the darker areas, which I'll put on here. Not that there's very much on there, like that. And I'm just going to grab some crumb cake as well. I have got some early espresso fairly close at hand if I need it. So I hope everybody's had a good day. Carol, Jeanette, Brenda, Tracy and anybody else who's watching. It's been a busy day for me. There we go. Okay, so this is crumb cake, this is soft suede. Now from what I can see, and I would recommend, if you haven't already after my recommendation earlier on, to look for Jo Blackman on YouTube, and she has a lot of watercolouring and colouring examples on her YouTube, so I would definitely recommend checking out Jo. Okay, right, the glasses are coming off so I can see what I'm doing, and I will lift this up to the camera on a regular basis so that you can see in a bit more detail. So I'm going to start off with the Sahara Sand, and I'm not making this really wet to start with. I'm just keeping it quite light, and my water brush is clean to start with, and it will pick up a little bit of this ink, which is absolutely fine. So this is Sahara Sand. So I'm just going to fill this in to begin with, like so. That. And as I said before, if you have some muslin cloth or something so that you can just dry this off as you go along, you could use kitchen towel if you prefer, but this is a bit kinder to the environment and the rest. Okay, so let's fill in this little bottom bit here, and then I'm just going to go back in with a little bit of soft suede across the top here, literally just dipping that into the corner. So, and then adding a little where the definition of these feathers are. And I'll lift it up again so that you can see it. We can see that up there. Okay, so let's bring this down a little bit. So this sort of comes round the head of the robin. And then we've got this darker bit here for the feathers. So it's been a nice day here, but very blowy during the day. So I'm just doing these lines sort of separately. Like so. Like that. And again, just taking the lines that we've got here for these feathers. So just sort of using those guidelines like that. Okay. Just filling this in a little bit. I want to keep this fairly light on the top. Like so. And then making this section a bit darker. So this is, in my mind, definitely one thing you need to practice. So just a little bit of definition in there. So I don't know if you can see that or not. Okay, just going to dry that like so, and I'm going to come back and add some little lines back into there. While that's drying, let's do the legs. So although this is a medium tip I'm using, you can make it quite fine as long as you've got enough water on there to sort of get it into a little point. I definitely need to do some more of this. So do tell me what you've been up to during the day while I'm working on this. If you've been up to anything in particular, whether you've been crafting or not crafting. difficult to talk and concentrate when you're doing something that you don't normally do. There we go. Let's try that. So just a little bit darker across the top, so you can see the difference now between the two. Ah, well done. Jeanette's been finishing her card club cards. That's what we like to hear, Jeanette. Just going to use a little bit, just going to turn this round and put some grey granite. Introduce a little bit of grey into there. Like so. So I wonder how many you've made altogether, Jeanette. Just going to clean that out. So a little bit of grey before it goes into the red breast, and I'm going to have more pumpkin pie this time because I felt like the other one was too red and I really wanted it to be more orange. Hi Jill, thanks for joining us. I hope your week has continued to be good and positive as it started. Okay, so this is the sort of underbelly piece, and then I'm going to go into the orange on there. Just clean that off a little bit. I'm just going to add a bit more into there. Oh, excellent. 12 with papers left over. That's what we like to hear. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So let's do a little bit of grey around the face. And I'm going to come back for the eye when this bit has dried. Like so. Okay. Right, so this is pumpkin pie here. And I mixed it with a little bit of soft suede, so it wasn't too, that's better. I've just felt it was a little bit too red earlier on, so that's a little bit better. And I will lift it up in a minute so that you can see a little bit better, because it's, when you're doing detailed work like this, it really does look a long way away from the camera. There it is. Let's add a little bit more. smudge in there. Oh, excellent use, Jill. So pleased for you. I'm sure there'll be enough heartache and worry later on. Okay. So a little more pumpkin pie, and then just dropping down into that bit at the bottom. Okay, let's have a look at this eye. So I've got some early espresso in on a marker pen. So I'm just going to try a little bit of that. Sort of dot that around. Just to make that stand out a little bit more. And then I'm going to just add in a little bit of that on the paintbrush. Like so. And then I'll add the little bit of white gel pen, because it's got a tiny little dot on there to highlight the eye. So I'm going to sort of replicate that, but with the gel pen. And then let's just use this for the beak. So I think Jo used her basic black, but I'm using early espresso here, just as a slightly lighter version of it, like so. So just doing some tiny little dots really there too, for the top of the beak, and maybe a little bit under here. For the legs, just sort of underneath the body, and maybe a bit under there. So it's definitely getting there. Very different look, isn't it, to that one? Very different. Looks quite a bit smaller without the outline. But hopefully it's still recognisable as a robin. Just doing a little bit more detail on these feet. Add a little bit more. I could use the early espresso ink pad really, but I only want the tiniest amount. And then under here. Like so. There we go. And then maybe just a little bit more detail added back in where I've gone over it. So there we go. Well, I'm reasonably happy with that as a first go at this robin. I feel this bit here is a little bit messy. So if I did it again, I'd look a bit more detail what Jo did here with this wing. I wonder if she did more definition here. Maybe added that little bit back in. Okay, so let's do this definition around the eye and maybe make that beak a little bit sharper. There we go. It's definitely getting there, isn't it? Right, let's have a go with this little gel pen. There we are. What do you reckon? Will that pass as a robin, do you think? I think it's a bit of a giveaway, isn't it, really? So hopefully I've got a little bit more shading here. I could make this a little bit deeper, perhaps. Let's have a quick look. And actually this went up over the eye a bit more, didn't it? So I'm just adding, just literally using the very tip of that brush to go over that, just to bring that back in, and then just going to soften that line. And I think I'm going to say that my robin is complete. Certainly a lot better than I would do if I was just trying to do it. Well, there's no way I'd do it from scratch, let's be honest. No way. Okay, so now these this will dry slightly lighter, so I'm not going to do any more until that's completely dried. I am going to pop a sentiment on, and I might put him on a branch. I want to be a little bit careful of that. I'm just going to look and see. I've got some pens that are sepia coloured. So I might just try, this might be a mistake, but I could ruin the whole thing at this point. Drawing a line for a branch. I'm just going to have it slightly wobbly, for want of a better description, and let's just brush this in. So this is a little bit of crumb cake and soft suede, and it's just slightly green. There we go. So the pen that I use is a Uniball fine line waterproof and fade proof pen, and I'm hoping we get away with adding that in like so. Just for something a little bit different. Could make that quite a bit darker actually. I don't know, perhaps I should make that darker. It's a little bit green. I think because I had some orange on my brush as well. Just add that in. Go. And I might just add with a very fine, so I've got a very fine version of that. Just some definition on its little claws here. Because I've sort of lost some of the definition. Like so. Hi Lynn. Thanks for joining us. A little bit of no line watercolour. And actually you could use this to add a bit of detail back in if you wanted to. Back around the eye. There we go. I think I'm going to leave the main part of the robin like that. So hopefully you think it still looks like a robin. I stamped it in Sahara Sand. So this is the stamped version. And then this is my stamped version with Sahara Sand. So hopefully that will do the job. And I think what I might do is just use, I was going to watercolour some outside, but I think I'm just going to use a blue blending brush to add a little bit of ink, and then I use my watercolour, my water pen, just to soften that down. So let us see. It does look really different, doesn't it? So what I'm going to do is just bring in a little bit of blue on my blending brush, and then I'm going to give it a little wash with that water pen. Actually, the more I look at it, the more I'm happy with it. It's funny, isn't it? But I think that's because it's the way, you know, when it starts to dry, it looks quite different, doesn't it? So using the blending brush, just bringing a little bit of this in. just going to wipe this down here. So coffee and cards, we'll be doing robins and the holly tomorrow and Monday. Okay, just clean this out. I really don't want brown in the sky. Okay, that's well, I need to really dilute that down. There we go. So because it's got some blue from the blending brush, that just will allow me to push it around slightly, being careful I don't get over the robin itself. Just to give it a very soft blue edge. And now that's slightly wet, I can go back in like so. And then I'm going to blot this dry to take some of that colour out. So being careful not to get too close. Oh, look what I did. Can't believe I just did that. So I turned this round thinking I got the blue, and I turned it onto a bit where I'd got brown. So now I'm going to have to lift that out. And I was being so careful and all. Okay, so I'm going to wet this. Find the clean bit and lift it out. Oh dear. There's me saying be really careful. Make sure I get a clean bit again. There we go. Whew. Alright, let's add a bit more blue back in. Best laid plans, folks. Thank goodness for watercolour paper, that's all I can say. There we go. Okay. Right, let's put that away before I do anything else. So there's my robin, hopefully. Let me put my glasses back on so I can see what you're seeing. So there's my robin. So I'm going to put a sentiment on. Thank you, Lynn. I'm going to put a sentiment on, but I'm going to make sure that it's completely dry. So I'm not going to put it on tonight. I'll put it on in the morning when I know that that is completely dry, because I don't want my sentiment to run. I could use, obviously stays on, but I'd rather use early espresso on here. Failing that, I could also put a label on, but I rather like the fact that that hopefully looks more hand drawn, hand coloured. Let me just lift that up for you. So I may die cut this as well, I'm not quite sure, but if not, it's going to go onto a darker coloured card. Let me find the other robin for you, and then you can see the three, although I wasn't happy with this red particularly. So this is watercolouring, this is blends pen, and this is no line watercolouring, so you can see the difference. So I definitely need to practice it. I will probably use a framelit. Yes, once it's dry. I might use this one here that I've got there. Or I might use a larger one. Not quite decided yet. We'll see. Or I might just cut the whole thing down a little bit. But there we go. So that's no line watercolouring, which I haven't done for absolutely ages, and I never was particularly good at it. So I'm now going to practice that a little bit more, because it does look quite effective. It does look quite different, and I quite like the effect. Thank you, Jeanette. So I am back again on Monday. I've got coffee and card tomorrow afternoon in Brackley. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Lynn. So coffee and card tomorrow afternoon in Brackley, 3 till 4 p.m. And then I've got card class in Milton Keynes on Saturday. And online card class, as long as most people's boxes have arrived, on Sunday. Fingers crossed. So there we go. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed watching me experiment. I definitely need to practice, but it's like anything. Even with this watercolour one, I need to, you know, it should have been more orange, so it just goes to show that you can always go back and improve. So thank you so much for joining me. I do hope, if I don't see you or speak with you, that you have a nice weekend. I will finish this card off, stamping a sentiment and layering it up, but I do want to let that dry completely. So I will do that and post a photograph of the card with you tomorrow. Thank you so much, everybody. Take care, enjoy your evening, look after yourselves, look after your loved ones, and thanks for watching. Keep crafting, won't you? Bye for now.